Thank you for being patient. We're out of the executive session. And at this time, we have citizen request comments. It's a time for anybody in the community to come up, and we'll give you 3 minutes. If there's anything on the hearing item, we'd ask you to wait for that. But otherwise, come on up and state your name and address, please, for the record.
Good evening. My name is Cindy Bowen, and I live in Wenatchee at 60 Safety Lane. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'm here to request that the City of Wenatchee enforce the laws already in our city code, work to add language to our city code to ban the use of animals in circuses in the future, or at a minimum remove circuses as an exception from the current code. Since I last spoke before the City Council, we have continued our efforts to reach out to members of the community, and we now have over 430 local citizens who have signed our petition. We have also written an op-ed that appeared in the Wenatchee World, have Facebook and Instagram pages, have spoken before the East Wenatchee City Council and the school boards of Wenatchee and East Wenatchee, asking them to consider not giving out free tickets to students this year. We have not received a single negative comment, not one. Again, our work is focused only on circuses and would not impact rodeos, dog shows and trainings, educational animal shows, and the like. Why circuses? Because they are the worst offenders of animal cruelty and putting our community's health and safety at risk. The Town Toyota Center Public Facilities District Board has decided to allow the Jordan World Circus to use animals in their performances next month, even though the circus offered to bring an animal-free show. Now that we know the circus is coming and with animals, today I want to speak to the current city code. The only mention we could find in the Wenatchee City Code regarding circuses is in Chapter 4.48, Dangerous Animals. It speaks to what is restricted, exceptions, and penalties. Section 4.48.040, exceptions, states that WCC 4.48.010 does not apply, quote, to any person who has custody of such animals or reptiles in connection with the operation of any zoo or circus properly licensed by the City of Wenatchee, or in connection with any program of medical or scientific research, providing such person has taken adequate measures to safeguard persons and property, end quote. Now that we know the Jordan World Circus is coming, and with animals, have they been notified on how they become properly licensed by the city? What does this license look like? What adequate measures to safeguard persons and property will be required? And what are the repercussions if the circus does not have a proper city license? Thank you for your time and consideration. I hope you will take action to enforce our current code and take action to prohibit animals used in circuses in our community for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. Hello, Chris.
Hi. Hello again. I'm Chris Cameron. I live at 1217 Split here in Wenatchee. And I previously shared information with you about the systemic cruelty and deprivation and abuse suffered by animals in circus performances. And as Cindy said, over 430 local residents have signed our petition urging you to only allow animal-free circus performances in our city. Unfortunately, the governing board of the Town Toyota Center has decided to allow the Jordan Circus to use animals in their local performances in 2 weeks, even though, as Cindy mentioned, the circus offered to bring an animal-free show and signed a contract to do so. We still hope that you will see your way to remove the current exception in city code for circuses and ban the use of animals in circuses in our city. We've already shared the ways in which we believe the treatment of animals in circuses violates our ordinance relating to animal cruelty 5.28.070. The ordinance also makes animal fighting operations illegal. Why? Because it causes injuries and abuse to animals, and we have a community standard that does not tolerate animal abuse. Circuses abuse animals for entertainment too. They just do it out of sight of unsuspecting audiences, and they hope that elected officials like you will look the other way. Now that the Jordan Circus is bringing animals to our town, we ask that you follow the laws that currently exist and require them to obtain the licenses required in our city code. We would also ask that you require them to create an emergency response plan with local authorities in the event of an emergency involving an animal. For example, this year the circus is using bison in its performances, and according to bison ranching experts such as the National Bison Association and JJ Bison, bison are not domesticated, they're nervous and excitable in close quarters, they're extremely territorial, and they are not safe to ride. Most of us are familiar with the warnings from Yellowstone National Park officials that bison injure more people in the park than any other wildlife, that they're unpredictable, and they can run 3 times faster than humans. We assume the circus is going to be using female bison, which can weigh up to 1,000 pounds, and experts note that an adult bison can jump a 6-foot fence and run at speeds of up to 35 miles per hour for up to an hour. If startled or scared by the flashing lights, loud music, strangers, and unfamiliar surroundings, an animal of that strength and size could cause major injuries to circus workers or audience members and present quite a challenge for any emergency responder. In summary, in the short term, we ask that you require the Jordan Circus to obtain the city permits required, submit an emergency response plan to ensure public safety when they come to Wenatchee, and enforce the animal cruelty laws already on the books. In the long term, we hope that you will revise our codes to reflect our high community standards for animal welfare and permanently prohibit the use of animals in circuses in our town. Thank you all.
Thanks for coming tonight, Chris.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name's Saxon Spillman. I'm at 3209 School Chuck Road. And I'm just calling to present a resolution that you guys could adopt to join with the other cities of the nation to call for a ceasefire in Israel and Gaza. I'd like to present the resolution. Whereas the city of Wenatchee is dedicated to fostering a community that embraces diversity, values all life, and upholds the principles of equality and human rights. And whereas incidents of anti-Arab, anti-Muslim, and anti-Semitic bigotry and violence are on the rise within our country, posing a significant threat to the well-being and safety of our diverse communities and all Americans. And whereas we express profound sorrow and condemnation for the tragic loss of Israel's civilians, including children and the elderly, in the terrorist attack on October 7th by Hamas, and whereas we also express profound sorrow at the loss of innocent Palestinian lives, including children and elderly, and denounce the indiscriminate retaliation by the State of Israel, which has resulted in the collective punishment upon the civilian population of Gaza. Whereas we find it deeply troubling that a binary narrative and dehumanization is being used to rationalize acts of war that indiscriminately cause the death of civilians with this ongoing conflict. Whereas the city of Wenatchee supports the dignity and safety of residents in every community regardless of what crimes any government may commit, and that peaceful diplomacy and mutual understanding is the only way to achieve these permanent goals. And whereas all human life is precious and the targeting of civilians, no matter their faith or ethnicity or country of origin, is a violation of the international humanitarian law. And whereas between October 7th, 2023 and March 28th, today, 2024, war and armed violence have claimed the lives of approximately 30,000 Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank, over 1,200 Israelis, including Americans, and it's estimated that over 70,000 have been wounded. And whereas over 2 million lives are at imminent risk for a permanent ceasefire is not achieved and continuous humanitarian aid is not assured. Whereas the United States federal government and members of Congress hold immense diplomatic, military, and financial power to save Palestinian and Israeli lives and seek a lasting peace in our time and for time, therefore it be resolved that the city of Wenatchee calls for the United States federal government to facilitate and demand 1. An immediate permanent ceasefire to urgently end the current violence. 2. The immediate release of all hostages and political prisoners. 3. An immediate end to the blockade and siege of Gaza, and the prompt provision of humanitarian assistance to Gaza, including supplying food and water, fuel, and medical supplies, which are indispensable for the survival of the civilian population of Gaza. 5. All parties fully comply with their obligations under international law and continue to condemn the rising anti-Semitism and Islamophobia that has been seen in the world states worldwide. Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Good evening. My name is Jacob Speck, and I am the General Manager of Pool to Spa Services at 160 South Worthen Street in Wenatchee. Pool to Spa was founded 31 years ago and has grown to employ 27 full-time industry professionals, and we have a fleet of 14 service vehicles in daily operation. While we have grown through the years, we have also witnessed the developments along Worthen Street over the last 20 years. I would first like to acknowledge our appreciation for the Council's recent action to provide designated parking areas for individuals living in their vehicles and RVs. We take pride in our place of business, and the area has been considerably cleaned up since then. Our on-property parking is built to code with 4 parking spots and 1 handicapped parking spot. Therefore, our employees have always utilized parking on Worthen Street. A few years ago, before your action was taken, my female office staff felt unsafe walking past these vehicles each morning and evening in the dark. Pool to Spa shouldered the cost of pulling a male technician out of the field or paying overtime to assure escorts for our female office staff once they got off. Unfortunately, the inclusion of Worthen Street in the recent 2-hour parking ordinances for downtown has been even more disruptive to our production. Instead of assisting our customers and technicians, my employees are stopped from their workflow and required to run down the street and do the vehicle shuffle at minimum 3 times daily, not including lunch breaks. Last week's most recent addendum requiring a 3-hour gap between downtown parking sessions has rendered my 27 employees unable to park anywhere reasonably near our workplace. The nearest public parking is 3 blocks away, and please keep in mind that Worthen Street is not lit with street lights. This leads to an unsafe situation for our employees, particularly the women. We have taken pictures at various times throughout the day along Worthen Street and can clearly see that street parking is minimally utilized on weekdays. Pool to Spa is the only retail storefront on Worthen Street that utilizes street parking, or used to. This ordinance seems to disproportionately affect the employees and customers of downtown businesses, suffocating commerce. How does this align with the support local business messaging that we so often hear? For reference, my business has suffered 4 break-ins instances since 2023, and we've hired a private security company. Would you feel comfortable asking your wives or daughters to routinely walk along Worthen Street in the dark? Thank you.
Yep. Jacob, I didn't recognize you since middle school.
It's
Yeah.
been many years.
Yeah, so did you take over your parents' business? Is that-
I'm in the process of succession. We got about 1 year left, so, yes.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Mayor, I was able to talk to Jason before the meeting, and Public Works will follow up with him. We may have found at least a part-way solution for him.
Okay, great. Hello.
Josh Tarr. I am going to wear both my hats tonight. One as the Downtown Association Board Chair. Just really quickly, I just want to say thank you guys for maintaining our seat at the table with you guys to be able to ensure that downtown is a unique oasis for small business in our fair city. So thank you. Now I'm putting on my citizen hat. Tonight, as I left my business downtown, there were 3 guys with backpacks sharing a 6-pack in the crosswalk between 1st and 2nd Streets. Visibly not their first. When I asked them what they were up to, they said, "We're taking a break on our way to dinner at Lighthouse Christian Ministries." My wife was 5 minutes behind me and had the pleasure of one of the 3 of them comment on the phone in her back pocket, asking why she'd choose to ruin the view with it. I was livid as a husband and as a downtown business employee. While catcalling is nothing new, it's new to our downtown. I have a deep moral dilemma about who we are as a culture in Wenatchee, the balance between burden and generosity, and where to draw the line. I'm so proud to be part of a community that takes care of the less fortunate among us. The myriad resources we have is both a beacon and, unfortunately, a vacuum. And while our resources are plentiful, they're not unlimited. It's time to decide as a community where that line is. Tonight, I ask for your leadership. I ask for your leadership to make that decision. I ask you to dig deep and to decide who we will be going forward. Are we a haven for drug use, addiction, and crime? Or are we a community that makes a stand between helping those that truly want help and moving those along that don't? A friend of mine often refers to this situation as bird feeding. As callous and dehumanizing as that sounds, it's at times an apt metaphor. We have resources in this valley that require nothing in return for their generosity, and that is admirable and noble. However, when that creates a burden for other community members, it needs to be looked at hard and fast. The city has been burdened long enough with cleaning up the messes continually left behind by those that don't have the same respect for our community that many of us do. Please, I ask you tonight to make that stand. Give law and code enforcement the resources to make this a safer, less attractive community to those that refuse to treat it as their own. Please find and hold those individuals and organizations accountable that are part of the problem, not the solution. Thank you for your leadership, and thank you for this opportunity to voice my personal dilemma in this very public venue. Thank you all.
Josh, did you send a letter to us?
I didn't.
Can you send that to us?
Yeah, absolutely.
Please? That way we have it on public record.
Of course.
And that's an,
And I was down there, I think I witnessed the end of that, what you described, and the police were there, and I think, yeah.
Yep, it was a great response. And,
Yeah, so I'm sorry that happened.
oh, not at all. I mean, it's our downtown. We got to look out for it. So thank you guys.
Thanks for
very
being
much.
anybody else?
Hi. My name's Denise McBurney. I'm at 930 Wheeler Hill Road, Wenatchee, Washington. I'm here to represent my kiddo, my son Travis Coleman, who lived in Cherry Manor for 9 years. He disappeared last year on April 22nd, 2023. First, I would like to tell all of you how grateful I am for your service and how much you've helped to accelerate the investigation now and the services that we were offered recently. I also want to tell everyone, Wenatchee PD, and everyone that's helped to look for him and supported us. I also want to tell people I'm so sorry for not posting and updating you on social media. Team Heart, I will get a post out because there's so much going on behind the scenes. I have numerous policy. And I also wanted to thank the Wenatchee PD for the upcoming press releases they're going to do and everything else that is currently going on to solve the case and find him. I have numerous policy issues to share with you all. On September 14th, Mayor Kuntz told me that you would get back to me regarding the policy changes, whether we have a public meeting for that or however we go about looking at it, that you would get back to me. Well, it's been over 6 months and no one from the city has responded in regards to this issue, which totally leaves me wondering if anyone's even addressing the problems internally, but how can they be if we haven't really talked about them? Mayor Kuntz mentioned that the wheels of justice turn slowly. Well, I'm beginning to understand why. On January 25th, Mayor Poyer suggested I email recommendations in regards to policy changes. It's so overwhelming when I start going over all the SOAPs and RCWs that I just don't have the time to commit to reviewing every one of the policies on my own. So today I wanted to bring policy 316 and look at how many items need to be addressed. So I know that on your forms, I didn't get to mark them, but the pink on these are all of the issues or things that need reviewed. And to email them all to you, all my recommendations is just way over my, way over, I can't. So,
Sure, we'll let you do that. And
Thank
but-
you.
But I'm just trying to help save time. So if it sounds like what you're trying to do is you're marking up what you believe we should be looking at.
yes,
But it's difficult to send it to us. It's kind of a frustrating deal. So what you can do is leave that document with us so we can review, look over what you're suggesting. And it has to go, it is a big process,
it is huge.
So if you want to mark up things and leave it with us, that counts as us taking it. And
Oh,
you don't
good. I
do
don't
that.
have to put on my case
No.
manager hat and
Yeah.
write a whole report
Correct.
on all the changes I need to see in the policies.
Yeah.
Perfect. I worked with state foster kids and it was a lot. Okay.
Yeah, so if you want to do that, that'd probably be better to be able, for us to take that information.
Okay. I think one of the main ones on 316 is policy 316.2. The Wenatchee Police Department does not consider any report of a missing person to be routine and assumes that the missing person is in need of immediate assistance until an investigation reveals otherwise. The Wenatchee Police Department gives missing person cases priority over property-related cases and does not require a specific amount of time to have passed before beginning a missing person investigation. This was in direct conflict with what I was told the first time I visited them. They told me I had to wait 30 days. Immediate assistance until investigation reveals otherwise. They refused to do the investigation, so it never progressed. You know what I mean? So I think looking at that one is really important. So then we look into, so because they didn't respond, within the first 72 hours of a missing person case, is the most important. And when we sought out the Wenatchee PD, the report got filed on Sunday as an ATL. By Monday, the 24th, it went to Washington State Missing Persons. We had to seek them out on Wednesday and find out even that the detective was assigned. So that, now we're well into the 72-hour mark. And because there was no investigation, why the 72 hours in a missing persons investigations are most critical, according to criminology reports, is to protect the integrity of the evidence. One of law enforcement's first steps in investigating a missing persons case is trying to prevent the loss of evidence. It's important to generate as much awareness and as many leads as possible. That period of time is absolutely vital in order to find the person right away, as the victim could be in grave danger, as my son obviously was. So paperwork, so then we need to talk about the paperwork and how the records on the weekend, how it doesn't get processed, so the investigators don't really even know that this alert needed to be put out. So we could talk about that more, because there should be, in my opinion, there should be a person on every shift that is trained in and aware of how to deal with missing persons. It shouldn't be sitting waiting for the detectives to look at it when they get back in the office, if they're up Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and he comes back on a Tuesday. Or
Again, you can leave that with us. And I'm not going to say we're going to make any changes. We have to go with what our attorney says, what the state laws are. But if you leave it to us, it at least gives us opportunity to address it. So please leave that with us. Just bring it up here, hand it to our city administrator, and leave that with us, and we'll make copies and go from there.
Can I just tell Detective Hewitt has made so many changes
Thank you. We do care, and we'll let the detective know that you came tonight. So, thank you. Okay. Anybody else like to address the city council? Seeing none, we'll go on to our consent items. I think Chelsea's gonna,
We on? Okay, I would like to, Your Honor, I would like to make a motion to approve agenda vouchers and minutes from previous meetings. I'd also like to make a motion to approve the final contract voucher to Nordvin Sewer Service LLC for City of Wenatchee project number SW23-01, wastewater treatment plant influent pumps, and authorize the city administrator's signature. Also make a motion to approve the final contract voucher with Hearst Construction LLC for City of Wenatchee project number 2211, wastewater treatment plant drying beds expansion, and authorize the city administrator's signature. And lastly, a motion to pull off the public hearing item number F from the agenda.
Second.
Second.
Oh, I didn't remember.
Oh, did I?
no, we're good. We have a motion by Councilmember Ewer and seconded by Councilmember Rogenstein to approve agenda vouchers and minutes from previous meetings, to approve the final contract voucher with Nordvid Sewer Service LLC for the City of Wenatchee, project number SW23-01, wastewater treatment plant influent pumps, and authorize the city administrator's signature. To also approve the final contract voucher with Hearst Construction LLC for City of Wenatchee project number 2211, wastewater treatment plant drying beds expansion, and authorize city administrator's signature, and to pull item off F during of the public hearing. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion pass. Thank you. We do have one presentation tonight. Thank you for being patient.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm Dave Tosh, Executive Director, Wenatchee Valley Senior Activity Center. I want to provide a quick update on some of the current trends we're seeing with seniors coming back after COVID. And then I'll do hopefully a quick presentation for you on what our plans are for the future. We've been very pleased with some of the trends, especially since the first of this year. We've served 1,000 lunches in February. That's the highest number we've had, and we've been open now almost 2 years for lunch post-COVID. And we're seeing a good trend with that. Our memberships grew over 70 members in the month of February. It's the highest number we've ever had that I know of in our history. We're on track to do the same this month. And our membership was about 2,000 members prior to COVID, dropped down to about 1,000 during COVID, and now we're back up to about 2,000 where we were prior to COVID. So, yeah, we're seeing some good trends there. Also want to thank the city for upping the amount of money that they're sending us. We get a monthly check now for $860 some. That represents $10,000 a year, and we appreciate that very much. $10,000 is very meaningful to us, and so thank you for your support on that. Let's see, make sure I know how to flip these slides here. Yeah, so I'm here to talk about our capital funding objectives for expanding our building, but I also want to remind folks a little bit about who we are and what we do. That is our mission statement. We serve the population over 50 years. Am I talking loud enough here? I backed away from the microphone. Serve the population over 50 years of age. There's been a lot of confusion in our community, and I understand why, as to how old do I have to be a member of the senior center. And we don't have any limits on that. We're not a community center, but we like the idea of having multi-generations visit the senior center. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. when I first got to Wenatchee, I was asked, how many residents do we have? How many beds do we manage? And there were a lot of folks in our community that have been here a long time, had no idea what we were and what we did. I think we made a lot of inroads on that. And we're also very proud of the fact that we are self-funded and not reliant on the government to take care of us. And we'd like to keep it that way. Hopefully we can do so. But we do appreciate all the support that we can gather. So there's a lot of myths, and I touched on one of those. We hear it all the time. We can't obviously suit the needs and take care of all the needs that are out there with the population of seniors in our community. We only have so much space and so many activities. But we hear from the 85 to 95-year-olds that I don't want to go there and hang around those old folks. And I think we're breaking down those barriers again because of what we're doing with our programming and our activities. I'll talk a little bit more about some of that. There was also a misnomer that the thrift store, which is our primary means of support, was only for seniors to visit and shop. And I imagine that was because it was tucked around the back of the building and there wasn't a lot of advertising, and we've made some strong inroads in that area. We've also opened up the lunch program to primarily host all generations. If grandma wants to bring her grandchild or great-grandchild, we welcome that. And so that's why we're not putting limits on that. I don't want to go into too much detail about the history with our lunch program. It could take up quite a while to do that. But we're just pleased that we're able to offer what we're doing right now and continue to build on it. And then we do have a lot of things that we do at the senior center. We help other nonprofits in our community that have no place to meet. So we like the idea of having people out there using our facility to see what it is, what it's for, and I think that helps us in the long run. And this is going to be something that'll have to be looked at, but our membership, our amount of money we bring in with our memberships doesn't pay for a whole lot. Basically, it's paying for our newsletter publication, printing, and mailing, and a little bit left over. Maybe we need to raise our memberships. So our history, most of you I think are aware of our history. It's 30 years, the building's now 30 years old plus, and it was paid for in full when it opened. And of course there was a lot of donations made, both with labor and funding. So we had a brand new building 30 years ago, and we're very proud of the fact that we've been able to maintain that building, and it's a very nice facility to this day. I also tell the story that the number one priority for that building 30 years ago was the dance floor. If the building were to be built today and designed by the baby boomer generation that's coming, we'd have pickleball courts. A multi-use floor, and we could still use it for dancing as well. And by the way, there's a large dance there tonight. I'm going to stop by there after I leave here. About, I don't know, about 110, 120 people are dancing at the senior center tonight. Okay, funding. So I mentioned about 2/3 of our revenue is coming from our store. And you can kind of see where the rest of it comes from. We do have a large endowment at the Community Foundation. It generates about $50,000 a year in revenue. I mentioned memberships. Our bingo program is doing very well. It is a state licensed bingo, and the prizes are in cash. We're also looking into doing some other raffle events. I won't go into detail on that, but we are continually looking for new revenue streams. Our travel program is doing extremely well. We are not able to travel within the state on what we used to do, day trips and overnight trips, because the cost of transportation is too high. It's tripled since COVID. We do not have our own transportation. All of those buses that we had in the past were liquidated before I got to the senior center, and I don't see us taking that on again. Being on our own the way we are with all the liability issues, it's tough to see that. But we do travel out of state, and we've got half a dozen trips coming up this year. Had several trips last year, so we generate some very good income from commissions on those trips that we do. So we're pleased with that. And then we have special events, and I'm going to talk about some more special events that we got coming up with our fundraising that we're going to be doing for the expansion of the building. But we have an annual crab feed, for instance. We max it out, 200 people. It's sold out weeks in advance. We're going to have another one in the middle of June. I'd like to invite all of you to come and join us with very good Dungeness crab, all you can eat. So those tickets are on sale right now. And then, of course, we do generate a lot, quite a bit of donations, not only in our store, but we do like cash donations as well. And but the community has taken very good care of us in a lot of ways, and our store, obviously, all of our inventory is donated, and I didn't put the amount of money, but it's $600,000 that we generated in gross revenue last year, and that was 20% ahead of the year before. I hope we can continue on that kind of path, but it's doubtful. We're running out of space, and I'm going to talk about that. So our challenges. The store is now occupying 49% of our building, and I use that percentage because that's what we're allowed to have for an accessory to our current building. 49%. We're legal. And we will stay within that 49% after we expand the building. But we are not zoned for retail in that part of Wenatchee, 1312 Maple Street. But we have been talking to the city. The city's been very cooperative. We've hired an architect, been in touch with the city, so we think we have a blessing to continue forward with what we're doing. It's classified as a neighborhood center, our current building, and we are allowed to have an accessory of 49% as long as it's attached to the current building. Membership growth. So I just mentioned that we have jumped up again. And we now have 3 rooms that I'll show you available here just in a minute. Available for activities. We have our social hall, and we have 2 small rooms off to the side of the building. And we have as many as 5 activities in our social hall at one time using partitions to reduce the amount of noise and confusion so that people can have a meeting or play cards or whatever they wish to do. Okay, and having a thrift store that's compartmentalized the way it is, we've got, last count, 6 different rooms that our store is occupying. It's just not conducive to a retail environment. And so what we're trying to be careful about here is we're raising money to expand our facility to conduct more activities and offer more services to our senior community. We are not talking about building a retail store. Okay? We're trying to make that point and emphasize that point because that is the truth. And of course, the building now is 30 years old, and once we do put the store in a separate building, we are going to have to modify what we have. And so we're looking at a price tag of a total of about $4 million. About half of that will be for the new building, and there's a lot to do in getting that new building in place, like, elevation of pieces of our property and getting everything situated, moving fire hydrants and things of that nature are going to take some money. And then using half of that $4 million for improving the current building and bringing it up to date and being able to offer those kinds of activities that the baby boomer generation would like. And so I've already talked about some of this. It is a 6,200 square foot building. It's going to be bare bones inside. All we're going to have to do is move all of our clothing racks and shelves and furniture and things for sale, along with a couple cash registers, and we're on our way. And if in the future there was the possibility that we could get some very low rent, we might even consider moving that store into a different location. But right now, we cannot afford what's available. And so that's why we're going the path we are. So it's a building that could be used for a lot of different things besides a store in the future. Let's see, so we want to, I mentioned also getting our activity rooms back and doing all those things, and then updating. So it's going to have a nice price tag to that, of a couple $1 million, but it needs to get done. And that is a diagram of what we're talking about doing. So that building addition is on the north side of the building, the back side of the building as we call it. It's not going to eat up a lot of parking. It's going to probably take up about 15 to 16 parking spaces that are right in front of our store in the back of the building. And we think we have plenty of parking, and the city has told us that we will have plenty of parking. What else do I want to talk about here? I think I've talked about all that. And that's just a bigger diagram, and I've got numbers on this next one. So number one is our social hall. That's the one where we serve all of our meals, all of the dances, all of the large activities. We have exercise classes conducted all day long, 5 days a week on our dance floor. And those are full. Line dancing, Tai Chi, aerobics, the sail program, we have 6 of those a week. So that dance floor, and the dance floor is being used tonight for a big dance. And then numbers 3 and 4, there are the other rooms that are currently available for meeting rooms, yoga, card games, things of that nature. And those are our 3 rooms. So what we've got laid there is 8 rooms that will come back to us. We will have a total of 8 rooms available for activities once all of this is done. And I already mentioned the World War II generation and what their needs were versus what we have now, with the baby boomers coming in and a whole set of different desires, wishes, needs. And I mentioned the 4 million. So what we're trying to do right now is raise $400,000 locally. We're using a 3-pronged approach for raising money. The local fundraising campaign is being conducted by our board. Aaron Cass is a board member in charge of the local fundraising. We've already raised well over $100,000 in that effort, and we just started around the first of the year. So we're pretty pleased with the progress we've made, and we've already had several fundraising events, and we'll have several more. And I want to invite the mayor to a big one coming up on July 20th. You'll get an invitation. And let's see, what did we call that? The Celebrity Waiter Fundraiser, July 20th. We'll be back in touch.
Sounds
Did
exciting.
the chief leave? I think he might get an invite. Okay, and then we are also working with the state and the federal level to get into their capital budgeting, and we're working hard on that. We've got a lot of help from Mike Steele. He's very supportive of what we're trying to do, and the other representatives as well. So, but we're kind of out of cycle right now. That'll be put together here this summer and go into the next session. And then, of course, we have a fundraiser. I shouldn't say fundraiser. We are going to try the best we can to go to the foundations, private foundations. We have not had a lot of success with that in the past. And I don't want to be negative, but there's very few grants that are out there that have that word senior in them. Most of the grants that we see are associated with education, youth, and the arts and the humanities and things of that nature. We have a hard time finding that word senior in grants that are available. And that's one of the reasons why we're doing some multi-generational programming, and we're working with seniors on technology by bringing in younger people to help them learn how to use their smartphones and things of that nature. In fact, next week we got more classes scheduled for Androids one day and iPhones the next day. So we're doing a lot in that area, and we're hoping to do more intergenerational programming in that realm. And we have talked to both of the school superintendents about trying to develop some programs for that. And pretty much that is my presentation. And, you know, we're going around and informing people about what we're up to. There's been a lot of publicity in the paper here recently and social media. We're working hard to get the word out to the community to make sure they know what we're up to. Any questions?
Of course.
Yeah.
Or comments.
Comments, questions?
So you forgot to mention if you go on your birthday month,
Yeah.
you get a free lunch.
Yeah. Well, I didn't mention some of our specific programs. We have a birthday Friday tomorrow. You would have to bring that up. We'll have 125 people there that may have made reservations for our birthday Friday. What do we do on birthday Friday? We celebrate everybody's birthday for the month of March. They come and they get a free lunch that day. They can also show up on the day of their birthday and get a free lunch.
We want to make sure we, and I don't know if everybody had a chance to eat lunch there, but it is a great lunch.
Yeah.
And there's some people, you know, eat half of it and pack the other half so they can have a meal at night. I mean, this is a great organization. We want to support you the best we can, and I know Alyssa mentioned that we're going to meet just to try to get everything smooth as we can for your process. Doesn't mean we can do it, but just to see if we can see things that can help out too. So I love it. You also didn't mention you are retiring.
Oh, yeah. Well,
So I saw that social media post. Yeah.
well, it'll be, if I were to stay until July, it'd be 11 years.
Okay.
And I'm getting older. Got a hip replacement scheduled here in about a month, and along with all the other things, we start talking about our ailments and our procedures as we get older. I've learned that. But it's time. I don't want to retire. I need to retire so I can enjoy some good years in retirement and do all the things I want to do. And the board is already received 15 applications, and they've already narrowed it down to 6, and they'll start interviewing on the 9th of April. And hopefully we'll have somebody designated by the end of April, and then we'll do a crossover, and then I can ride off into the sunset, but I'll still be in town. We're not leaving town. If they want me, I can still come around and help out here and there. Yeah.
How about July 20th?
Okay. You want to have a big party? Is that what you're saying?
Of course. No, we want to support you, and I know everybody here wants to support you the best we can. So just stay in contact with us, how we can help, and I know we'll, and I know, like, again, Alyssa was very happy to say, yes, let's meet, make sure if there's what we can do. Is there any other comments?
Just a quick question. What does it cost to get lunch? I brought my
$5?
staff. $5?
Yeah.
I don't know if I can afford that.
Yeah, $5, and it's like a real lunch.
I'll bring my staff again. It's been a couple months.
Yeah.
I don't want to take up a bunch more time, but we did try raising the price on lunch, and I thought the world was going to come to an end. Before COVID, it was $4.50, and that was on the government program, and it was a suggested donation. And we just knew how the costs were going up with the price, you know, and we buy food from Cisco. We try to use some donated items through the warehouse with the Community Action Council and the food bank process, but it's hard to deal with a lot of that kind of stuff. So we are subsidizing the lunch program, but it is a focal point of what we do. A lot of things revolve around our lunch program. Okay?
Thank you so much, Dave.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for committing your life back to our community, so. All right, jump on to some action items. Wenatchee Convention Center expansion project.
Your Honor, I will recuse myself on these first two items.
Noted. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Alyssa Schaefer, the Facilities Manager for the Public Works Department. I'm here to present for your consideration the next steps for the advancement of the Wenatchee Convention Center. As many of you may recall, the market analysis conducted in 2019 shed light on key parameters surrounding the state of tourism within Wenatchee, which highlighted the Wenatchee Convention Center. This analysis emphasized the importance of better patron access, the need for additional breakout and pre-function spaces. It encouraged an enhancement of coordination with the Numerica Performing Arts Center and suggested the optimization of both the indoor and outdoor spaces. Since then, we have been diligent in our commitment in realizing the vision outlined in the analysis. Through the dedicated efforts of ALSC architects and their team of consultants, we have planned and designed an expansion project that aligns with our goal of creating the best right-sized convention center for Wenatchee. The 24,000 square foot expansion includes the addition of approximately 4,000 square foot of new breakout space, additional pre-function areas, new restrooms and an elevator which will serve both the Numerica Performing Arts Center and the Wenatchee Convention Center, a kitchen expansion with more back-of-house space, and ADA accessibility to the Fountain Plaza. We started with a project estimate of under $12 million for the expansion, but with a few components transpired throughout the design, an opportunity was presented to evaluate the addition of an unfinished basement, taking advantage of valuable real estate that would otherwise have been cut off by the foundation of an upper level if not considered in the overall design. This use of space will provide for future enhancements. Also, through ongoing discussions with stakeholders, the importance of providing an upgrade to the existing aging facility was also evident. With council direction, an alternate was added to renovate the Fuji Gala breakout rooms within the footprint of the existing building. The combination of these additions added $2 million to the budget for a total architect's estimate of $14 million. To this number, the essential soft costs, such as sales tax, construction administration, commissioning, special inspections, contingency, and the art fund must be added. This is estimated at $2,435,000 for a total estimated construction cost of $16,435,000. We went to bid on the expansion project a couple weeks ago where we opened 6 bids from contractors across the state. These bids encompassed a base bid for the expansion along with several alternates aimed at further enhancing the facility. After careful analysis and coordination with the Numerica Performing Arts Center, we elected to proceed with the base bid and selected city-based alternates. One of which includes the renovation of the Fuji Gala breakout space. Absher Construction Company out of Puyallup, which has a local office in Wenatchee, emerged as the lowest responsible bidder for the selected combination of base bid and alternates. Their bid of $13,978,372 closely aligns with the estimates provided by ALSC. So where are we now? The good news, the bids came back in alignment with the estimates, which holds the project construction budget at $16,435,000. The overall project expenditures also include the design components, which adds $1.1 million for an overall projection of $17,535,000. It's very important to note the design component has been paid for using LTAC funds and is 100% complete. So how are we funding this project? Last fall, a bond ordinance was approved by council for up to $16.4 million for the expansion project. In January, bonds were issued for $16.2 with a repayment plan outlined through hotel motel tax revenue. The interest calculation on the bond amount projects a gain of approximately $500,000 throughout the course of the project, and the bond interest will cover the budgeted estimate.
That budgeted estimate is $16,435,000 for the remainder of the construction project. I'll also like to add a note that there are funds available in the convention center reserves that will provide an additional buffer between the project and the general fund. All that said, I am requesting the city council's approval of the revised capital project budget and authorization to execute the contract with Absher Construction Company for the Wenatchee Convention Center Expansion Project, City Project 2212. Thank you for your time. I'm happy to address any questions.
Yay, we're finally here.
That's great. Any other questions? Yeah, it's been quite a bit of time. When would this start? Did you already mention
So
that?
I did not mention, we'll issue a notice to proceed on April 19th. A notice of award on April 19th and a notice to proceed on April 29th. We anticipate the start of construction in the beginning of May.
And 15-month project.
Yeah, it's 456 days,
Okay,
which is
15 months.
which is August 25th of 2025.
Got it. Okay, that's great. There's no other questions or comments. Entertain a motion.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion for City Council to approve the revised capital project budget and to authorize the city administrator to execute the contract with Absher Construction Company for the Wenatchee Convention Center Expansion Project, City Project number 2212.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Rogenstian and second by Councilmember Hornby for City Council to approve the revised capital project budget and authorize the city administrator to execute the contract with Absher Construction Company for the Wenatchee Convention Center Expansion Project, City Project number 2212. Any comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Let it be recognized, Councilmember Harold did not participate. Thank
Okay,
you.
I'm back.
So you know, that's a great presentation. It helps just to get it in our minds is a great job, yeah, to do
Thank
this.
you.
Now hard work starts.
Yeah, now
Yeah.
the hard work starts. Okay, but I'm not done.
I know.
Okay. The next item on I have for you is an amendment to the professional services agreement with ALSC Architects, which is necessary now that the contract award has been granted. ALSC Architects, the architects behind the design of the Wenatchee Convention Center project, have been instrumental in laying the groundwork for its success. This contract amendment will extend ALSC and their team of consultants' involvement to include the construction administration and closeout phases. Their continued presence is essential in ensuring the project is executed to the highest standards, consistent with city's expectations. The recommendation is for authorization to be made to execute the professional services agreement amendment with ALSC Architects. By approving, we can ensure the seamless integration of the design and construction, ultimately leading to the successful completion of the project. I again thank you for your time. I'm happy to address any additional questions you might have.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion for City Council to authorize the city administrator to sign contract amendment number 4 to the professional services agreement with ALSC Architects for construction, administration, and project closeout services for the Wenatchee Convention Center Expansion Project, City Project number 2212.
Second. Beat you.
Yeah, you won,
We have a motion by Councilmember Rogenstian and second by Councilmember Hornby to authorize city administrator to sign the contract amendment number 4 to the professional services agreement with ALSC Architects for construction administration and project closeout services for the Wenatchee Convention Center Expansion Project, City Project number 2212. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries, and again, Councilmember Harold stayed out of it. Great, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Just a quick note, I want to note that Mike Locke and Steve Sandman from the PAC are in the audience, and now that the project is approved, just want to thank them for their partnership through all of the process, and they're going to be our construction buddies and neighbors for the next 15 months. So again, just wanted to say thank you for being here, and yeah, we're excited.
Well, I'm glad you recognized them. I was hesitant. They're great people, great partners to work with. The PAC's definitely important to the city, so we appreciate it tremendously.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council members. My name is Jeremy Hoover. I'm the Senior Utility Engineer here in Public Works. I'm here to talk to you about the Digester 4 project. Just to give you a quick overview of the project, this is what the wastewater treatment plant looked like before we began construction. You can see the old Lineage property that has been since demoed and turned into apartment complexes. We have the digesters and solids handling building up on the north side of the property. That's where most of the focus of this project has been. This is what it looked like about 9 months into construction after the Lineage property was demoed. You can see up on the north end of the wastewater treatment plant site, the digester, which is the circle on the left, is already up, as well as the mechanical building. And that was a significant accomplishment to get the structure up as quickly as they did. This is what it looks like today. Digester on your left and the mechanical building on your right. Obviously, neither one of them are finished, but there is the majority of the difficult construction has been done. It's just basically making everything fit tight together now and get everything programmed and up and running. But this is what the site looks like today if you were to walk over there and take a look. There have been a total of 7 change orders on the project. The first one was to relocate some existing PUD power lines that crossed from the south to the north right there at Riverside and Walla Walla. Went right across the site where the digester was to be built, so that had to get rerouted to the back of sidewalk. They would be right where this guy was standing had we not rerouted those particular conduits. So just to give you an idea of the scale of the excavation, that's the dirt that we took out during construction. Another idea for scale, you can see the digester itself on the left, and on the right you can see a little bit of the digester and the mechanical building. Seeing a few guys on there, that was our first concrete pour, getting ready for the very beginning of construction. Change order 2 was regarding some programming that had to happen. There were some revisions to the contract that required some additional PLCs that had programmable logic controllers that needed to be installed in order to make some of the items work correctly, specifically the boiler system. Change order 3 did a couple of things. We got rid of some parts in the gas system, some metering system, and we had to change the sales tax rate that was being charged because we went from 8.6 to 8.7. I believe that was 0.1% for homeless mitigation projects or something to that extent. Change order 4, we modified the roofing system. There was some issues regarding whether or not the wind loading system was appropriate or could be warranted at the gust that was necessary. So that was one of the larger change orders that we had on this project. Change order 5, we relocated some more equipment, took the water backflow prevention assemblies out of the basement where things could have gotten flooded, and you don't want to cross-contaminate your potable water system with the product that we have in the bottom of the handling building. So we moved it up to the main floor. Change order 6, I'm sure you guys recall this. The digester had issues. We like to say it burped. And we had a problem with the seal. On the left-hand side, you can see a picture of the inside of digester 1. And up around that hatch that you see up towards the top is where the seal was at. That failed and ended up getting replaced. And the digester is currently up and running right now. In order to do that, we had to cut a hole in the side. That was put in there to both clean the property, or clean the tank out, and it did facilitate the installation of the new seal. We had guys in there on scaffolding and grinding stuff out with air grinders. It was interesting to see. Currently, digester 1 looks like this, which was part of change order 7. We put in a hatch to facilitate future cleaning and any other maintenance that's necessary, because this digester was built in the early 50s and, to anyone's knowledge, had never been cleaned out. Didn't have a mechanism to do that, so there's the mechanism to do that. Change order 7 had multiple aspects to it. The first one was to pay for this hatch. The second one was to install a generator receptacle so that we can have backup power generation at the mechanical building. It's not there in this picture, but that's approximately where it's going to be. We installed a monorail hoist system so that we'd be able to get equipment in and out of the new mechanical building easily when they have to be replaced 20, 30 years from down the line. We had to reroute some gas systems, piping. We had to install some additional metering. This is one of the big items that we have in place right now. This is one of our rotary thickeners. We have a pair of them. Those were some of the big items that were associated with this project. They don't look like much, but those are really, really big deals. We had a little bit of interesting piping that had to be installed. We had to reroute some piping on the outside to be able to make it work with what you're seeing here. There's a lot of wiring that's installed. We had to reroute some more wiring for some flow control valves, and we put in some controllers for the overhead doors. The reason I'm telling you this is because we need to initiate another contract with RH2, which is going to be in addition to the current project amount, but we're going to be funding that as part of the loan package that was approved by the Department of Ecology. RH2 is going to be providing controls integration for the SCADA system, as well as the PLCs. This is just a small portion of the amount of controller cabinets that we have on site. These are the new ones that are being installed with this project, and they have to work seamlessly with the rest of the system. RH2 is asking for approximately $308,000, which involves about 1,400 man hours in order to get everything up and running and started and put together. So total net change orders, not including RH2's contract. For construction, we started off at about 14.4 million, and we're currently at about 15.1. The Department of Ecology loan, it's a 30-year fixed rate loan. It's 1.75% APR on the 30-year repayment schedule. The original loan amount was just under 16.1 million. We had an amendment in January of 2022, which took into consideration the costs for the Digester 1 repair work after it burped. Amendment number 2, which is one of the focuses of this presentation, is currently under review with the Department of Ecology. That will add a little more than $508,000 to the loan agreement itself. And that will take the entire loan amount to just under $17 million. That goes to pay for construction as well as construction management, and let's call it the little things that happen on a regular basis out there. I'm hopeful that we won't have to ask for an amendment number 3, but as I stated, this is currently under review with the Department of Ecology. I've gotten some good information from them, positive verification that they believe this will be going through. They just have to run it through the correct corridors on their end, but that the money is available since this is a loan and not a grant situation. So that's the short end of it. Let me get to the long part. I'm kidding. The council action that I'm proposing is a motion for the city council to approve the amended project budget and for the wastewater treatment plant digester project number 1810, and authorize the city administrator to sign both the SCADA programming services agreement with RH2 Engineering, Inc., and the amendment number 2 to the Clean Water State Revolving Fund loan agreement with the Department of Ecology.
Good one, Jeremy.
Thank you.
And I just want to say I'm impressed that you guys have been able to do so much work and keep our sewer flowing. So thank you to you and all your staff underneath you. And with that, I'll make a motion for the city council to approve the amended project budget for the wastewater treatment plant digester project number 1810 and authorize the city administrator to sign both the SCADA programming services agreement with RH2 Engineering, Inc. and amendment number two to the Clean Water State Revolving Fund Loan Agreement with the Department of Ecology.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Huffaker and second by Councilmember Atkinson for the city council to approve the amendment project budget for the wastewater treatment plant digester project number 1810 and authorize the city administrator to sign both the SCADA programming services agreement with RH2 Engineering Incorporated and amendment number 2 to the Clean Water State Revolving Fund Loan Agreement with the Department of Ecology. Any discussion?
Yeah, I just want to ask one thing. Jeremy, this has been many, many years ago. I don't think the current council was there. Keith was probably there. We had a tour of the entire facility. It was a work session that we had. When the time's appropriate, I'd like to see us do that again. I found it very educational, very interesting.
I think we can make that happen.
Okay,
Councilmember
thank you.
Ewer, you have any?
You just missed the most recent tour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Well, Charlie and I just went out and did
Oh,
one.
did you?
Yes.
Oh,
It
good
was
for you.
very fascinating.
Yeah, it is. It
Learned a
is.
lot.
Yeah.
We want to see it when it's all done and polished.
We'll try to make sure that happens at the hottest day of the month in July.
Thank you so much. That's very helpful.
You're just full of it tonight, Jeremy.
I'm sorry.
You're on fire.
All right. Any other discussion? If not, signify by saying aye for approval.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you.
City Administrator.
Good evening, City Council. Laura Gloria, City Administrator. The item before you is Resolution 2024-7 declaring real property surplus to the needs of the City of Wenatchee. The real property is the former police station. So over the last couple of months, the city staff and I have been working on legally separating the former police station from the current Social Security building. That was all one parcel. There was even kind of a wall that connected the two, but we've done that. So that is a new address at 135 South Chelan specifically for the police station. So it does not include the other portion of the building. That's now its own. This resolution would allow me to go ahead and move forward with listing the property. So the next steps, if this is approved, would be to list it on the real market, start to get some offers, and hopefully bring back a purchase and sale agreement for your guys' approval. Happy to answer any other questions.
Just for clarification, I know we've talked about the parking situation before, but how many parking spots are included in that building space?
There are 4 stalls.
Just 4.
Through the alley, right?
No, so the 4 stalls are on the Chelan side?
Chelan side?
Yes,
Okay.
yep. They're the closest ones abutting the building.
Okay.
So it's sort of, we have 2 easements there because that park on the police station side will kind of have to back into the now Social Security property. But the ones that are actively a part of the police station are those 4 stalls.
Any other questions? Entertain a motion?
Your Honor, I will move for City Council to pass Resolution Number 2024-07, declaring the real property located at 135 South Chelan Avenue as surplus to the needs of the City of Wenatchee.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Harold and second by Councilmember Ewer for the City Council to pass Resolution Number 2024-07, declaring the real property located at 135 South Chelan Avenue as a surplus to the needs of the City of Wenatchee. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. So when, I'm just curious, when you Now, when you go put it on the market, how's this?
I think so. We're going to be working with Cam Clennon again, and he was going to take some new pictures of the inside of the building now that we've officially moved out. We already have some aerial photos from the past, so I would say within the next 30 days at the latest.
Any indication price-wise, or we were just?
We do have an appraisal, so I was going to work with him to figure out what the kind of the change in the market since that point, because I believe that appraisal's several years old.
Okay.
But we're gonna
Right.
we'll work with him to set that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Laura, is that building on the historical register?
I don't believe it is.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Boy. Glenn? Says Ruth.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. Have a proposal before you to authorize the mayor to sign a binding site plan. The building that we're in is jointly owned by Localtel and the city. And what was done when the site was purchased and developed was that we did a binding site plan. And within that binding site plan, we condominiumized space. So we have ownership of our space, Localtel has ownership of their space, and then we have procedures that manage the maintenance, and then there are common areas that are held and owned in common. And to do a change to that needs what's called a binding site plan alteration. That was done, it was done through the hearing examiner, it was approved. The actual changes that were requested through that were for elevators and a change in ownership out of having them in common, to have the main elevator and service elevator split up. The alteration would be to assign the main elevator to the city and the service elevator to Localtel. So that was approved by the hearing examiner. The conditions of approval, which are minor, it's mainly setting up the map for that and surveying that in. That's been done, and then the next step is that it legally has to come back before the council, asking you to authorize the mayor to sign that Mylar. And so that's why I'm here tonight, is to ask that you provide that authorization for the mayor, and I'd stand for any questions you might have.
Glenn, has this been the plan all along to do this, and we're just now getting around to it, or after we've been in the building a while and using it, did this come up and we realized we needed to make a change?
I can handle the process side. As far as the changes in ownership, is Alyssa still here?
So this is a lived-in space arrangement modification. We found that the city utilizes the number 1 and number 2 car, and Localtel utilizes the freight elevator. And it just made sense to separate them.
Just one of those things that after we've been here a while, we realize is the best way to go.
Correct.
Thank you. Well, Your Honor, I'll make a motion for the city council to authorize the mayor to sign the final Mylar for the federal building condominium survey and binding site plan alteration BSP-23-02.
Second?
We have a motion by Councilmember Hufker and second by Councilmember Atkinson for the city council to authorize the mayor to sign the final Mylar for the federal building condominium survey and binding site plan alteration BSP-23-02. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, we have just one public hearing. We'll call to order and state the ground rules, purpose of this hearing, the action that the hearing body may take on the matter. Will address the appearance of fairness doctrine and will state the manner in which the hearing will proceed. Staff will first give a report, followed by testimony of experts and/or the applicant, followed then by public testimony. All speakers, please come up and speak in the microphone, clearly state your name and address for the record, and have the comments should be only addressed regarding the hearing body. It should be relevant to the applicant and should not be of personal nature. Public testimony may be limited, it will be limited to 3 minutes. And I think we're good. Glenn, this is you.
Great, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tonight before you, we have a proposed amendment to section 13.0110 of the Wenatchee City Code, adding Wenatchee City Code Title 13, Fire, to the list of titles subject to the procedures in Title 13. So before you, we're looking at 2 titles tonight. Title 13 are permit procedures that manage how we process permits and development applications, rezones, things of that nature. All our applications. Title 3 is the section, our title that addresses fire codes, the wildland urban interface and storage of combustibles. Historically, the city of Wenatchee had its own fire department. What happens when that fire department was merged with the fire district is then the community development department, through a plans examiner who has a fire certification, our building official who has is also a fire code official, and then a building inspector who's now also a fire code inspector. We took on a lot of the duties for review that the fire department used to. And so we changed Title 3 at that time to recognize that. There was an omission at that time for Title 13, which lists all the titles that are administered under our permit procedures. It should have also included the fire code provisions under Title 3. So the change before you this evening proposed is fairly simple. It just includes that Title 3 as one of the titles that we administer through our permit procedures under our Title 13. And with that, I'd recommend you consider the motion before you to adopt that ordinance, and would be happy to answer any questions you might have.
We have questions for Glenn before we ask for public testimony.
In English, how much will this affect what we already are doing?
Not at all. It was just an omission, and it's just tightening things up. We already have the authority to do this under Title 3. It just, to clean it up, it really needs to be under Title 13
just to clean
as well.
up.
Exactly.
Thanks, Glenn.
You bet.
Anything else for Glenn? All right, thank you, Glenn.
Thank you.
At this time, do we have any public testimony regarding this hearing? Seeing none, bring it back to the city council.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion for the city council to approve ordinance number 2024-03, amending chapter 13.01 of the Wenatchee City Code related to administration of development regulations.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Atkinson, second by Councilmember Hornby, for the city council to approve ordinance number 2024-03, amending the chapter 13.01 of the Wenatchee City Code related to administration of development regulations. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Glenn. Cleaning up what we need to get squared away, right? I guess. Mayor's report. Let's see, we need a appointment for the Board for Housing Authority. It can be somebody on the city council or somebody that you believe in our community. I want you to think of somebody or somebody in our community that this would be a good project for them. I believe it meets once a month. And so it'd be good to have some strong leadership. So if you want to, you can come up, think about it, or if you can get us a few names and we get the application out to them, that'd be great. So I'll let you guys think about that. The couple of us, I think we attended the regional port update this morning, and I don't know if anybody else got a chance to go. Yeah, it was great to see where the city's been through the COVID and where we're at, and it talks mostly like Chelan, Douglas counties, not specific in cities. And that was kind of eye-opener for us to see the trends. And It was good. It was, he comes and it's part of the whole process through the port, and we contribute also to this. But I think it helps to see the future of what direction we should take, looking at things. I also today, I kind of busy running around, but I did meet with Representative, and Laura and I did with Representative Schreier, and I don't know if we talked about the DC trip at all. That was exciting news. As you may or may not know, we did get the Confluence Parkway term sheet back, got it signed, and when this started, it was kind of like it's not going to happen. And we were at the staff with Cantwell's office and the United States Department of Transportation, and one of the comments that came out was they're actually saying, look at the city of Wenatchee, because there's two things that happened. It's obviously been 55.5% increase in cost escalations, and they said, look at the city of Wenatchee. And they're not sitting there asking for money. They're not asking. They sit there and or giving the money back, which you don't want to do. They came with a solution and still deliver a product, and that's what's happening. It was a big success for the city, unbelievable, and everybody was not surprised. It was a lot of hard work from our engineering department, city administrator, and so that was exciting. The last thing I have, then Laura probably has a couple things. A reminder: April 11th, we're going to do the City Council at the Wenatchee Valley Community College. I'm kind of thinking we'd probably have to schedule it ahead of time if we're all going to be there, but I think it'd be nice for us to be there like an hour ahead of time or an hour after, but maybe an hour beforehand so people can come up to us, try to promote it, and so we could be there and answer questions individually or as a group or however you guys want to do that. So I'd really like you to show up an hour early if we could do that, if you guys can figure that out for April 11th. Laura, what else do we have?
Yes, we do have that scheduled right now for 4:15, but if that needs to change, we're happy to change that. So, and then the meeting starting at 5:15.
Okay.
Just the only other thing I had was earlier, was it this week? I don't know what week I'm in anymore. We did meet with the Downtown Association as well as businesses that are adjacent to the convention center. We sort of said, here's what we know now. The project hadn't been approved at that point in time, but we wanted them to know that the project was coming, what that might look like, start to answer any questions. You know, we really want to make sure that we have an open communication relationship with the downtown businesses, especially the ones that will be impacted in terms of access or noise, whatever that may look like. But we're hoping that with the ongoing communication and updates that, you know, everyone can continue to advocate for the project and support the project. It's obviously very positive, but we also understand that there's a little bit of a pain during construction. But we're doing our best to get ahead of that, keep open lines of communication. So that was a really good meeting. So thank you to the Downtown Association for helping us put that together. That's all I had.
City Council report?
Yes, I do have something to ask. We, the Wenatchee Valley Masala Sister City Association will be hosting dignitaries for Apple Blossom. They are looking for host homes to house some students, if anyone's interested. Wednesday night, Wednesday afternoon, there will be a welcoming at the East Wenatchee City Hall. Everyone is invited, and I would really encourage you to attend because this is very important. This is our sister city. And then followed up by a dinner at the Senior Center, which I will be catering with a little help from my friends, and it should be fun. So please come if you possibly can. The other thing is on September 27th, we will take a delegation to Massawa from the city of Wenatchee. I'm requesting that I be appointed to go as a representative for the city, and we need to appoint someone else. And I don't know if anyone's interested in going or not. This is not the mayor spoke to Charlie. I don't know, Charlie, if you're still interested or not. This is not a vacation. This is an educational trip, and you will go home and go back to your room each night, and you will be tired. But it is so worth it. Keith has been there too. It's life changing, and it's a very, very educational, great opportunity, wonderful people. And I really encourage someone to step up and go.
We could have just one though, right? Somebody from East Wenatchee's going also?
They're sending 2 people.
They're sending 2 people. Okay. I'll let you guys think about it, but we will eventually, I think you have to have a motion probably to do it
Yeah, you do.
sometime.
And the other thing is, if you're going to do it, you have to have your passport and you have to have your deposit paid by May 24th, and they have to have a picture of your passport by then. So if you don't have a passport,
What's the deadline date that, isn't it coming up that we need to know by? April,
well, we should do it in the next few meetings, the
next
next
few
couple
weeks?
weeks.
Okay, so somebody, if we have somebody else interested and
Can you get more details of when you leave, when you
Yeah,
return?
if you want to go to their website, there will be more details on there. And if you have any questions, give me a call. We spent the first 3 days staying at a hostel in Tokyo, and we toured a lot of shrines and temples and everything. It was very educational. We got to see the emperor's grounds. You don't get to see the emperor. The gentleman who was emperor at the time hasn't been seen, I guess, in many years. He just doesn't go out. But I think he's since then abdicated to his son. And then we took the bullet train to Masala, and they're doing it later this year. Last year, well, every year has been very hot because they always did it in August, and it was extremely warm and very humid. They decided to move it to October, which is the anniversary of the Clyde Pangborn Hugh Herndon flight from Masala to East Wenatchee. So it'll be fun. They're working on a lot of different tours for us and everything. You'll get to see the site where they took off from Masala in the plane there, and it's just amazing. Very educational. And if you're lucky, you'll get to learn how to make sushi.
What's the date of the welcome event? You said Wednesday, is it the Wednesday?
It's Wednesday.
Can you email
Hey,
that
can
to
you-
us?
yeah,
Yeah,
you-
that'd be
It's
great.
Wednesday the 1st, May 1st.
May 1st.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Harold. Who else?
I've got a couple things. You probably maybe saw that Chelan County is taking back over coordinated entry. So that was,
They're doing what?
pardon
Can
me?
you say that again?
Yeah, Chelan County is going to oversee coordinated entry for the homeless housing. It's been going from agency to agency.
So
Most
it's not Catholic Charities any longer?
No, I think right now it's Wenatchee Rescue Mission.
Yeah.
And then starting July 1, the county's going to take it. So.
Okay.
And then we all got an email about this reentry simulation training that's being offered. And I just, since we have a reentry facility that's going to be opening soon with residents on Okanagan, sounds like it's a really excellent program. And there's 2 sessions on the 16th of April. 20 people can attend. They're looking for city-connected people, or leaders from the community. So I'm planning on going in the afternoon, but I've got some flyers if anybody's interested.
Thank you. Who else?
We had our LTAC TPA meeting, so a couple events coming up that we will be supporting, that to look forward to. The Tour de Bloom will be going on, and I thought it was cool that they're estimating over 500 racers this year, which is, I think, it's really cool. And then we will also, yeah. And then just today, we did a ribbon cutting for the Chelan Douglas Community Action Council for their new food distribution. It's really cool. If you get a chance, go check it out. It's not up and running yet. They're projecting a week or 2, but Councilmember Ewer, Mayor was there. It was pretty impressive. But anyway, so that's all I have.
Remind me of a little bit like a farmer market.
It's almost like a Whole Foods.
Yeah.
But granted, not like a Whole Foods, but the technology was cool.
Yeah.
So really something cool. Yeah.
It's an impressive space, for
Yeah.
sure. They did a great job with it.
Anybody else? Okay, our new thing we do, we have to have a motion to adjourn.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Huffaker and second by Councilmember Rogenstein to adjourn the meeting. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passed.